Welcome to the Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 296, How to Get Residential Customers. I'm your host, Jeff Halash. Our show today is brought to you by Instant House Call, remote support that is easy for you and your clients to use. You have all the tools you need, including an auto repair feature, which saves you time and money when helping your clients solve their computer problems. Check out Instant House Call for free use offer code Podnutz. All right, let me introduce the co-hosts. We have Ann Napoliello. Napoliello.
Yeah.
See, I'm messing up anyways. From TechRX Computer Solutions, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I got that right, which is good. How you doing, Ann?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. And also we have from across the pond, Phil Griffiths from Chips Computers and other places. How you doing, Phil?
I'm not too bad. Now I've actually figured out how to use the mute microphone. Keep getting it wrong, but there we go. So, but yeah, absolutely fine. And I'm guessing you're all doing well as well.
Yes.
Sir.
All right, so let's go ahead and for those that follow the show, and I'm sure that you guys do because I've seen you around, we're going to share a tip or story that we could learn from. And Phil, I'm going to shoot it off to you and see, just in your day-to-day, you got anything you want to share with the audience?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, the first thing is actually more to do with how people, as in other stores and people who actually use Facebook. So usually you're a store owner or a tech, is watch what you're actually putting on your personal websites or Facebook pages, because I'm seeing a lot of people obviously putting things what maybe a little risque on there sometimes. Could be due to women or men, or it could be down to religion and so forth, because a lot of your customers can easily access that information and find you on Facebook, and you don't really want to, well, let's put it this way, make them feel vulnerable or make them feel like they're going to be not welcome because of either the race, religion, or whatever.
That is a good tip. And I'll tell you, I've even seen it around here, and I've never understood this. I've seen it from computer businesses around here, but also other businesses. They'll have these nice LED signs with the, changes and all that kind of stuff. And they're really pretty and flashy and all that kind of stuff. And they change the message, pictures and whatnot. And I've seen during certain political seasons, I've seen things go up there like, get rid of whoever. And mostly it's local stuff. It's not really the federal stuff. Most people around the area don't care about as much, but the local stuff, it's like, get rid of this person or don't, kick them out of office or whatever. And I'm like going, okay, you probably just alienated half your customer base at least. For what? Because in my opinion, when it comes to a lot of this stuff that people are sharing, nobody really cares, and nobody's going to necessarily change their mind. I know there's a lot of people out there that believe they can talk to people and change their minds. I have good positive things, but whenever it comes down to we're going to fight about this, it doesn't work. So that's a great tip. Yeah, watch what you're putting on social media. You definitely don't want to have stuff out there. What do they say about the internet? The internet is a forever thing.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever goes on there, it's on there for life. So be careful, because even though you might have deleted it at some point, somebody's either seen it, captured it, or put it away. All right. So thank you for that. And Ann, what do you have for us this week?
More of like a broader tip, but just don't be a sheep with there's just so many aspects where I see people just following along with everything. And most recently with the thing on Facebook where everybody was passing along, and it was cracking me up that they got a message that said, I received a friend request from you. Send this to all your friends. And then they sent to all their friends a message that said, I got a friend request from you, even though they didn't. And it didn't occur to them that there's no way it could have been accurate. So with that, or with politics, or just life things in general, just be skeptical, do your due diligence, think for yourself, and don't be a sheep.
Very good advice there too.
Philosophy.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to definitely don't want to follow what other people are doing just because everybody's doing it. I think I just got a message, and I can't say who this is from, but it was through Facebook, said, so-and-so is a hacker, it was passed through Messenger. Don't get a friend request from them or don't accept a friend request. And I'm like, really? I mean, like these things are going to be that obvious, people. They're not that obvious. The people that are getting your stuff are not, they're in the background. It's cloak and dagger, man. They're
Absolutely.
not in your face going, hey, here I am. It doesn't work like that. But,
And people are so quick to run around and, the sky is falling, the sky is, just stop. Be skeptical, analyze it, look for yourself. You can figure this stuff out.
And most of the time, just delete it. You'll be better off.
Exactly.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Actually, no, I take that back. I guess I've got to give a personal tip. It's been a long weekend. And this kind of goes into the long weekend because I actually built a new computer, as a lot of people in the secret Facebook group know. And putting this thing together, I was like, I have to get back to an operating standard where I can do this podcast. And there's many, many different things that's involved in that. Programs I got to download, things I got to put up. And so in the process of doing this, I sat down Friday night, and my week's busy, as everybody's is, right? Sat down Friday night. I said, okay, because I had to take some parts out of my old computer, which were fine, power supply, hard drive, stuff like that, because they were kind of expensive too. So I didn't want to buy new ones when I didn't need them. So I moved them over to the new build, and I'm thinking, okay, I hope I built everything right, which I did. And I put everything together, got everything switched over, started putting Windows 10 on. Now, I have 3 SSDs. I have 1 NVMe, I have hard drive, and I have 2 SSDs. So you would think, now I plugged all of them in, and normally I don't do this when you're installing an operating system. But here's a tip for people that have multiple hard drives in a system and you're going to do a reload. Just do what I normally do and unplug the second drive, because here's the thing I don't understand. I have 2 drives. They're identically the same size because they're both 1 terabyte drives. One's an SSD, one's an NVMe. And I left them both plugged in. Now, in my mind, when you have disk 0, disk 1, and disk 2, I'm thinking disk 0 has to be the NVMe. Wrong answer. It's not. So I installed Windows on it. It doesn't take that long, but it's still, by the time I got to it, so I'm sitting there, operating system came up. It wasn't that long. I had the side of my computer open. I don't recommend this, but this is just something silly I did. I went and pulled the power, or actually I pulled the SATA cable. I didn't pull the power for the SSD. And all of a sudden Windows locked up. I knew that I had it on the wrong drive. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. 50-50 chance. And I got it wrong. And the numbering, I don't know where Microsoft gets this numbering system from, but it makes absolutely no sense to me. So anyways, I ended up leaving it unplugged, went and reinstalled Windows on the NVMe drive. And then, of course, I had to pull that other drive out, because try taking a Windows drive that's been partitioned and try seeing that drive. You can see it. You can go into disk management and see it. But the problem is, you really can't do anything with it. You can take the main part of the drive, the main partition, and you can delete it and format over it. The other 2 that are, one is made for recovery and the other one's for, I'm not sure what it's for, but Windows creates it when it starts the system up. So I had to pull the drive out, pull it over to my bench system, and use, I think I used macro IT partition, and went in there and basically was able to delete the whole thing and get it back to the standard it was supposed to be, which is just 1 drive. Plugged everything back in and got it running. So anyways, yeah, just normally do what you normally do. Don't try to shortcut it and go, oh, it's got to be this one. Because 9 times out of 10, the lessons I've learned in life is that I'm going to be wrong most of the time. I don't know why that is. It just is.
You're lucky you didn't have any important data on it.
No, these drives were all, that's what I spent all week doing. And it's funny you say that, Phil. I spent all week actually backing my stuff up to several drives. Plus I've got my cloud backup. Plus I've got my NAS backup. So I've got it probably in a minimum of 4 different spots, 3 of which I can get to in this office. So that's usually what I do. Now, another small lesson with that is when I was going back to set the podcast up on Saturday, after I got everything put together, I went and noticed when I went to move all my files back over, and I did it overnight because I didn't want to sit there and I had to get some sleep and go to work and whatnot. But I had it sitting there and it said completed. Well, I went back in to look at my podcast folder and only half the folders were there. I'm like, huh, that's kind of weird. I usually check the size on everything. I check the size of whatever I was bringing originally to that drive. And then I check the size that's on the drive and they match up. I know pretty much that my data's there and I might peruse through it a little bit. But yeah, this time I would have been got if I hadn't paid attention and actually double checked that and looked at it. So anyways, life lessons. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break and then we'll get into our main topic. TechCon Unplugged September 20th through the 22nd, 2019 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you want more information, go to techconunplugged.com and sign up there, and you'll get put on a newsletter list that we're going to create. Right now, we have somebody working on a website, and that should be up and running by the end of the month. Tickets and hotel stuff, reservation, all that stuff should be up and ready to go. So make sure that we'll get the information out as soon as possible. But if you want information as soon as it comes out, go ahead and go to that website and just sign up. It's real easy. And obviously, with legal speak, we don't share your information with anybody, yada, 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 all that. So anyways, not only that, most of your information I have anyways. That's what I do. All right, let's go ahead and get into, that's right. I'm a hacker. Yeah. If I was a hacker, man, I'd tell you what. If I was a hacker like they have in the movies, that would be totally cool if it wasn't totally baloney. I love the dinner conversations. A little side tangent, but I love the dinner conversations when somebody goes, well, like in that movie, Sneakers, didn't they? No, it doesn't. It does not work like that. You think people sit behind a computer in a basement somewhere and can just code and I'm pinging this server and going through this 17 different proxies to get. Oh, stop it! It's not true. Anyway,
yeah, it sounds a bit daft sometimes. I've seen it where on I think it's CSI, they'll come out and do a data recovery and they come holding a power supply.
No, that's funny.
You're like, what?
Oh, it's good stuff. All right. So anyways, our topic for today is why should we get residential customers? Number one. And I will say this, we're going to talk about how to get residential customers, but I'd say, why do we get residential customers? Because here's the thing. And a lot of people, they miss this point in listening to a lot of people talk out there about becoming an MSP, managed services, and all this stuff. All this stuff is good. I'm not saying anything bad about it. The problem is you got to start somewhere. And most of us have started in the residential arena. Some of us enjoy it so much that we kind of stay there and maybe dabble a little bit in the managed services. But the reality is it's not a whole lot different. People are people. And really, a lot of jobs that we get, other than outside advertising, which is, in my opinion, is easier to get residential jobs from advertising than it is to get business jobs. Business jobs usually come by people or people you've done work for that know people that have businesses. That's how it works. So it's nothing new. It's been that way since the beginning of time. But a lot of us think we can, we're just going to go out there, we're going to advertise, we're going to get all these businesses and this and that and the other. Let's take a step back and figure out, how do we get customers in general, but how do we get those residential customers, which usually are the start of anyone's business that gets started with this. And some people out there are making way more money at residential work than they are at managed services. And there's managed service providers that will tell you that. So anyways, Ann came up with this topic. So Ann, I wanted to ask you, where did this topic come from and what was your thoughts behind, because you're kind of new starting off in your business. You've done this before. This is not like you're not like brand baby new, right? So you have an understanding of, kind of what to do, but you're looking at it from the standpoint of, let me try to get some tips and tricks. Maybe I can take my learning curve down. And so what are some of your thoughts on that?
The first time I was doing this, it was very much on the side. I didn't look for these kind of resources, like finding the podcast and finding the forums and things like that. It's, it was such a duh moment. Like, why didn't I do this the first time around? So the first time around, I was really struggling. I was doing all the wrong things. I was racing people to the bottom price-wise. I was giving everything away for free. I wasn't valuing myself and the service that I offered, which is actually kind of ironic because, just a side tangent, my husband's an electrician and he had his own business for a while, and he would come home and be like, oh, you know, it only took me 15 minutes, so I didn't charge them or anything. And I'd be like, hon, you're doing something that they don't feel comfortable doing themselves. You know, charge them. They're happy to pay you. Even though it only took you 15 minutes, they couldn't have done it, period. And then now I'm doing it myself and I'm like, oh yeah, I should take my own advice. So this time around, I want to do it right, you know, and yeah, I've been really slow to get things up and going. So, and I do have a full-time job too. So it's not like I'm just waiting on this for my income. But I'm finding that I feel like I'm all ready. I feel like I have the table set and the party's ready, and I just need the people. And that's the part I'm having a hard time with.
So what are some of the steps that you've taken since you started this endeavor to basically try to get customers? Have you done anything at this point?
I mean, I have a website. So through, see, I'm blanking out because I'm nervous. Through Matt.
Tech Site Builder.
Thank you, Tech Site Builder.
Yep.
So I developed the website. I have a Facebook presence, which I did both of those things before. So like besides that, I have business cards. It's just word of mouth right now. And the problem is that I'm doing most of it on Facebook for the time being. And I'm starting to realize that I don't really want the customers. I don't want my customers to be people that I know. I think that complicates things and it makes it a lot more difficult. I wish, you know, like I'd be able to get customers that I'd be able to get in a storefront, except not having a storefront. I want, you know, it's just keeps the separation. There's blurred lines sometimes. I had done work for someone I knew and there was a discrepancy over a very small charge that there was, and I was kind of surprised that she called me on it because I was proud of myself that I actually went through and charged it. And I'm like, oh, this is where things get kind of ugly. So I need to step out of the Facebook realm, or at least if I'm going to be there, target people outside of my friend group, which I have with Facebook ads, but I haven't found them to be effective at all. I started looking into Google ads and yeah, got a little overwhelmed and kind of put that one to the wayside for now.
Gotcha. All right. So Phil, from your standpoint, obviously you tell a little bit about your business, but it sounds like you have a storefront, you've got some residential customers and whatnot, but where do you remember where you started at?
Yeah, I started off, I was working part-time at well, I basically lost my job. I used to work for Sony, believe it or not. I used to work on the PlayStation 2 development tool, which was basically a cross between the PlayStation and a PC. It was like 133 megahertz or something like that, if I remember right. So quite a few years ago that was. So, but basically, I lost job there. I had a few jobs in different stores and stuff, which last about a year and so forth. And I wasn't too pleased with how a lot of them were doing things. To be honest, they were cutting corners, not doing things properly. So I thought, right, let's do this myself. I know what I'm doing, and so forth. Got a part-time job, basically somewhere else, doing just while I started off. So I had a bit of income coming in, and basically then the thing what worked back then, because this was 2005, was like the local, what we call yellow pages over here, which was basically a telephone directory, what went round, and then local newspaper. That these days doesn't seem to work, to be honest, so much. It's not one of those things what really works now. But one of the things what we find that we get most of our trade from, or not most of it, but some good trade from, is actually advertising in a local magazines, like local parish magazines or church magazines and stuff like that. And the church one is specifically good because a lot of people will look in there and they'll see in the church magazine and they actually think you're sort of approved by God. If you get what I mean. So when we've actually had people say that, it's like, well, you must be good because you're in the church magazine. You don't have to actually have anything to do with that religion. You can do your local mosques, your local churches, whatever, depending on what's in your area. They're all happy to help, obviously, take the money off you and let you advertise. So, but with that, we've had a lot of customers from that. I'd say I think it costs us for these magazines about £100, which is about $120, $130, which for what we charge, we only really need to take 2 customers in for it to pay itself, sort of thing. So, and that's £120 a year, not a month. So that's a lot of customers. So obviously that's going to cost a little bit different in different areas depending on how many people you got. But it seems to be an area what's not people. A lot of people don't seem to advertise in and so forth. But you tend to find these like church groups or parish groups or whatever, tightly knit communities as well. So they all talk to each other. So they'll say, "Oh yeah, we had that guy out of the magazine come in last week," and so forth. And then obviously they pass it on and it goes round. So that's one of the bigger things where we actually get people is from the parish magazines and churches and stuff like that.
Very good. And JD Venice is asking, do you have a Google business page?
I do.
Do you have a Bing business page?
I don't.
Okay. So
Shame on
there's
me.
another one. And I'll say that everybody knows that even as a part-timer, the way that I started my business was, back in 2010. I basically, what I did was I used this, program, which was the original tech site builder, which was it was an HTML static splash page. That's it. And quite honestly, and I use the regular tech site builder from Matthew Rodella nowadays. And if you're not using it, I don't know what to tell you. You're doing it wrong. Because it's so dead simple, easy, you don't have to update anything. It just takes care of itself. Matt does all that stuff in the background. His programs work for you, and you basically can go in there and put whatever you want together. I had mine up and running within an hour's time. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, there's always things you can add to your website. Okay. Now, here's a quick lesson. The most important thing on that website, when somebody is going to that website, the most important thing I want them to see is a contact form and a number. That's it. You can have like where you're from, if you have a local business or, if you're working out of your house, I use my personal address. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have people showing up here. It's by appointment only. But that front page where people are going to land on is where you want people to be. You want them to pick up the phone. You want them to call you. Even if they have to leave a voicemail because you're busy dealing with a customer or you're working at your regular job, then what you can do is call them back once you get a break or once you get home, and you can take care of that, or you can set up your business hours in the evenings or days or, depending on when your shift is. There's a lot of different things you can do with that. When I started, I used Google AdWords because to me, it was easy. Now, don't get me wrong, and I'm with you. It was not easy to set up. It was a pain. I had somebody with this program, with the original tech site builder. It kind of walked you through the steps of how to set this thing up. But it probably took me a couple months of tweaking and working with some things and listening to people on the podcast. What do you want to do? So one of the things I did right in the beginning is I didn't want any tire kickers. Well, I shouldn't say that. I probably let it run for a while with just hey, let TechNut PC or TechNut Computer Repair take care of your problems, blah, blah, blah. What I ended up doing was, and a lot of people, we've talked about showing prices or not showing prices. I put my flat rate price up there. And I think it was $89 at the time or $79. Whatever it was. That was like my flat rate price for like a virus removal or whatever. I would put that up there because what that did was that stopped the tire kickers from clicking on my ads and costing me a lot of money. I still think today you can use Google AdWords, and I think it will do you a whole lot of good, and it will get you. I've never, ever had to, my business has, especially as a part-timer, and this is cool, my business has always paid for Google Ads. Now, back in the day when I started and I clicked one wrong button and opened it up to the world, in about an hour's time, thank God I caught it because I had about a $300 bill that month. They don't do it like that anymore. So I called Google. I think they gave me half back or something like that. That was it. I was like, they're like, oh, what to tell you? I'm like, it's a local. You can look at the website. It's a local business. I'm not doing this globally. You know, I clicked on the wrong thing because you used to be able to draw your area like where you wanted to be. And since I live by the water, then I kind of drew my area in kind of a boot because that's the kind of the shape that I wanted to go in. I didn't want to go any farther than that. And obviously I didn't want to go into Canada. So that wasn't going to work. So that ended up working for me. And that's what I've used to get the influx of customers. Now, word of mouth over time is still going to be probably the number one thing to get residential customers, in my opinion, because when you do a good job, other people will tell other people, and they'll just call you out of the blue. Hey, so and so told me about you. Can you fix this? And again, nowadays, when I answer the phone or when I answer the voicemail, if people are asking me about price or what, now I don't suggest this. I can do this because I don't really feel like dealing with it, but I can basically tell them, or I can listen to the message and I can see that, oh, wait a minute, they're checking for price. Yeah, I'm not interested. If somebody calls me and they say, hey, this is what I've got. I need this fixed. Can you do it? I call it. Yep, I can do it. Yep, here's what it costs. All right, cool. When can I drop it off? Or when can you come pick it up? Or when can you do an on-site or whatever? So anyways, my number one has always been Google AdWords from the beginning. I don't know that much about Facebook ads. And because a lot of people are on Facebook, I can see maybe some of the benefits, but it is also a place like you said, Ann, where a lot of people, that's where your friends and family are.
Mhm.
So it's kind of this weird dichotomy that you're like, do I really
Exactly.
want to have that on there? I don't know. And I don't know how beneficial it is. So, Phil, have you used anything like any Facebook ads or anything like that?
I've tried out Facebook quite a few times, and I listen to the podcast, try different things, but I tend to find the customers we do get in from it are a lot of time not the sort of customers you generally want, to be honest with you. We tend to find they're always wanting everything cheap and even cheaper, and even if you did offer it cheap, they'd still want it for nothing. So again, it obviously differs per area. We've got a lot of competition where we live and work. We've got probably within a 5 mile radius about probably 15 other retail stores. And then you've got call out services who do on sites and stuff. And then you've got business support people as well. So there's a lot of people doing it. And there's probably only a population of around about 50, 60,000 people. So there's not a lot to go around, if you know what I mean. And I see a lot of them competitors advertising, because if you actually go on Facebook now and go onto your competitor's website, you can actually see if they've got any Facebook ads running. You can actually see if they're actually doing anything, and you can see how many people actually like it or sharing it. And if you have a look at them, you'll find you probably only find 1 or 2 people seem to like it. So either they're running the wrong sort of type of ad, or possibly it's just not working. Full stop. I've not had much luck with Facebook, to be honest. I had a little bit more luck with Google Ads at one point, but to be honest, we get a lot of customers from the recommendations and a few of the other bits I'm going to suggest in a few minutes. But we've not had much from it, to be honest with you. Not worthwhile for us.
Here's the thing. A lot of, when you're talking about Facebook, again, this is a social network, right? And I'm not saying, again, there are people out there that tell you this is what you need to do, and they build businesses on it, and that's fine, and it works. But let me put it this way: when I'm liking something because somebody asked me to like it, I kind of do it out of pity. To be honest with you, it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. If you want your customer base to actually like something that you're doing, you've got to have that. You've got to be able to have that, I don't know, that background where maybe you've helped somebody and they've just passed it along naturally. Again, a lot of things I've done in my business, podcast, life in general, has all been organic. I don't push anything. I don't play any tricks. Everything is just, it's slow. It's really slow, but it's steady. And that's what I look for in my business is that steady flow. So, Ann, obviously, what types of things, let me ask you this, what types of things do you put on your Google business page?
Like what services I offer?
Okay. So
Is that what you mean?
services, do you have any pictures?
Maybe I don't have the business page that I think I do. Like what I have, when you say Google business page, if you Google computer repair in Long Valley, I will come up. You can click on me. has my phone number, my website, and things like that. So maybe I don't have an actual Google business page, and I think I do.
It sounds like you do. No, that's
Okay.
that's good. That's
But
good. If your name is coming up for your particular area, that's awesome.
if I dig deep enough, I'll find myself. But it is there. It's like when you look for any other business, the same sort of stuff comes up for me that would for, any
Right,
other local
exactly.
business.
Well, and even once I stopped my Google ads
Look now.
years ago, I still come up number 1 or 2 in my area. So, and
That's
I
good.
don't do as much business as I used to. So, now with that being said, though,
Hold on there.
at the same time, I've got a kid now and um, a wife that wants to help in doing some of the repairs, as far as moving through the stuff, doing diagnostics and stuff like that to help me while I'm at my regular day job. And so I'm probably going to turn on Google AdWords again, just because it's a steady flow. And again, for the amount of money I was spending per month, one customer would basically cover it. So let's just take the basics. So if you only had 4 customers as a part-timer, which I was probably averaging about 3 to 5 per week. But if you only had 4 for the month, 3 of those is a fair amount of profit. And then, obviously the one paid for the AdWords, but it accumulates over time. And that's what a lot of people want they want the magic bullet. Let me get the results now. And I want it yesterday. Well, it doesn't work like that. It takes time and
Mhm.
effort. So, the other thing too, Ann, is one of the things you could look at, and I've heard other people on this podcast talk about this. You've ever seen like the little restaurant ads
Yeah.
sometimes that are in restaurants? Sometimes I've been told that some of those restaurants, especially a mom and pop restaurant, some of those ads can be super cheap.
Like the
Sometimes
ones
they'll
on the
have them on
placemats, you
menus.
mean? Like paper
Yeah,
placemats where they have.
but not just placemats, but a lot of times they'll have those like the free city magazines.
Okay, yep.
Yep, and stuff like that. So I've heard a lot of people talk in the past about, hey, I was able to put my ad in there. It was fairly inexpensive. Nothing's going to be as expensive as the phone book. So, again, you want to put a little bit of money towards that, but anyways.
But speaking of restaurants, I visited Tom Bull a couple weeks ago. He was nice enough to entertain me and show me the ropes of how he operates. And what he had done when he first started up is he created like a trifold flyer, but only a single piece.
Right.
And he went to a handful of local businesses and he offered them computer services for a year in place for prominent placement on their countertop, and then he got a lot of local people that way. And he also built up his reputation by taking good care of whoever the business owner was. I thought that was a great idea.
That is a great idea. That's really good. The other thing too is with local businesses, my wife's done this. We go to a local meat shop, and we don't really have a bakery here, but shops like that, again, little mom and pop businesses. And a lot of them, because they want to keep stuff in the community, they'll have a table set up where you can basically put, a stack of business cards
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, or sometimes they'll have a board or something that you can stick them on or whatever. And a lot of times, yeah, hey, they're there, they're in front of people, you get your name out there. I think it works good, as far as getting that stuff out there.
Absolutely.
Now, Phil, so what are some of the other things that you've done as far as getting the residential customers?
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to say well done on getting some free labour workforce from your family.
Oh, free?
We won't I was going to say nothing is free in a marriage. We won't talk about
I like to think it's free.
the 3,000 flyers that they put out in mailboxes, which I think netted me one customer. So I'm going to say this: flyers, in my opinion, are not the way to go. Send postcards if you want to do that.
Can I offer a tip on flyers?
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. My first go around, I did flyers on mailboxes, and I thought it would be a great idea to use fluorescent colored paper. And fluorescent colored paper tends to run in the rain, and I had a couple of irritated people because I painted their mailboxes bright pink.
Oh,
bright yellow.
No!
Yeah. So don't do that.
The other thing you can do, if here's another option, is you can get the door hangers on it's two of them on one sheet. So it's 8.5 by 11. So you can just throw them in your printer. And I went into Microsoft Publisher because it was easier for me at the time.
Yeah.
I made up a real quick flyer, put my face on there and all that stuff. Printed those out. You split them in half and you just go hang them on door handles.
That's a good one.
You know. All right,
Ooh.
Phil, back to you. So, what
Yeah.
types of things are you doing to get those residential customers, or what are some of the things that work for you?
Another thing is what we do is working with like local groups. Like I'm guessing you have groups by year, specifically ones what use computers, like photography groups, video groups, and stuff like that. To get your foot in the door, you could always offer them a free talk or speech and tell them about safety and stuff, and then obviously give you leaflets out and so forth. And it's one of those things you tend to find one uses you, then they all start to use you. And stuff like photography and video groups, they have some really expensive machines. They're like top-end gaming machines in a lot of cases. They've usually got a decent graphics card, i7 processor, 16, 32 gig of memory, 10, 20 terabytes of storage, and so forth. And especially if you actually make machines like we do, you can obviously you've got the repair side, and then you've obviously got the building and repairing stuff. And we do get actually quite a lot of stuff from customers along that sort of lines. So best thing to do is have a look in your locally, see if there are any groups or anything, and then get your foot in the door. Basically, you don't need a lot of them, but you can earn a lot from those sort of people, and you tend to find they've got lots of disposable income because they're spending. Some of these cameras are spending. Okay, I've got a camera that's probably about £600, but some of them are spending £6,000 or whatever on a camera, which and the same with video equipment, and then they're spending £1,000 on Photoshop every year and so forth with all the bits and so forth. So they've got the money to spend. And okay, I'm not saying everyone will chuck money at you, but the more chance someone like that is rather than someone who's unemployed or something like that.
The other thing too is a lot of those clubs will meet at places like the library. And I know Kerry Holzman has done this for years. He basically will go to like a retirement community and he'll offer a free class on just talking about, the perils of the internet. And I don't want to say it that way, but kind of like things you need to watch out for. Letting the clientele, which is obviously a retirement community, letting them know some of the dangers to stay away from. You can go in there and talk, and it's just you talking to some people. And here's what a lot of people don't realize is that you're going in and you have this knowledge, and a lot of people look at themselves as not an expert.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Here's what makes an expert. You know something that somebody else doesn't know. That's it. That's it. I think I do the show. I fake it all the time. But the reality is you can go to these people and tell them about things that they need to know about. And then if you don't want to be pushy, don't. Here's what's going to happen. A lot of people have some business cards with you, a flyer maybe or whatever. And a lot of people will come up to you afterwards and say, hey, can I have a business card or whatever? And so you don't have to be a pushy salesperson or anything like that and going handing out the business cards. If somebody wants the information, they've got it. And then you've also got not only the library, but people in, these retirement communities or whatever that can basically pass that word along to other people.
Regarding business cards, one of the things that we find works better than business cards is stickers. Get a sticker with your name on, even if it's a business card. What is a sticker? Give them out. People stick them on the side of the computers, and they're there as long as they've got the computer or the printers or whatever. So rather than business cards, every customer we go round, every machine we service, we slap a sticker on there. So if they ever have a problem, they know where you are. They don't have to do a Google search or whatever to find who you were. Because realistically, people aren't going to remember who you are after a year or two when they need you again. They're going to go, oh, who was that guy? I remember what he looks like, but I don't remember the name of the company. It doesn't matter how your logo looks or whatever. Most people, after a year, 95% of the stuff you've told them, they've forgot it. They probably forgot 75% after a few days.
Exactly. Yeah, the other thing, too, that I've done is I've taken my business cards, and you can actually get these. If you don't want to make magnets, you can actually get the stick-on magnets. You take your business card, you peel the sticky off, you pop your card right on there, and you can throw it on. People still put stuff. I still have a ton of stuff, even though the front of my fridge is stainless steel. The sides, my wife keeps a calendar and all that kind of stuff there. And we use those magnets for actually holding up like pieces of paper. Yes, kids, not everything's digital. Sometimes you have paper that you got right. My wife still writes everything on the calendar. It's the way she operates. So guess what? Most people do it that way. It's the way it is.
Also, so I knew somebody, I think it was some sort of trade, and he would take magnets and have them all on the outside of his van, and just have, so that way when he was at Home Depot, people were walking in, go, oh, this guy does carpentry or whatever it was, grab a magnet, and then they had a
go.
contact.
I like that.
I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know if I would do it, but
good.
Yeah.
Only problem by us, all the kids will probably pinch them off the back of the van, but
pinch. Does that mean steal? I'm not really.
Yeah, sorry.
Just kidding with you. It's funny. The different words that we have for different things, it's kind of cool. Okay, so now, Ann, you're just kind of, started with getting into the, how do I get this customer? What are some of the things? And obviously we've thrown some things out there. What are some of the things that you have been thinking about when you started your business up? Because obviously everybody's got some sort of game plan, something they're thinking about as far as trying to get those customers. You're just going, I don't know, I'm gonna throw whatever I can find, throw it at the wall, see what sticks, and see what happens.
Answer B. I really, I seem to, because it's what I know, I seem to gravitate towards like the soccer moms and stuff. I don't know that I want them to be my customers. I was speaking to someone else, and she handles mostly senior citizens. So I don't know that I have an ideal customer. I heard it referred to as an icon. I don't know. So I think I'm more, everything I do is kind of organic. I'm not a planner. So it's just whatever feels right at the time, whatever seems to grow. I don't know. I'll take it, whatever I can get.
Well, this is the way yes, I understand what you mean. You want your ideal customer and all that. Here's my ideal customer. Somebody that will pay my rates.
Exactly.
Other than that, I don't care. You could be a soccer mom, you could be a gym dad, you could be whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
That's
it's
exactly
like, as long as you're willing to pay my rates, I'm good.
And I don't have a hard time with you. Like my friends.
But yeah, I mean, and I understand that a lot of times, it gets weird. Even sometimes when I charge family, and I even let them know. I said, hey, here's what I normally charge per hour. So here's what I'm going to charge you. And they're like going, even they can't figure out that, wow, expertise actually costs something. And some of these people, they could be CPAs, they could be whatever. And it's like, well, you get paid well for what you do. Don't you see the correlation here?
But I think what you said is about how this is what I normally get paid. I found that is a really good trick to use. If you are giving somebody a discount, show them on the invoice, show this is the rate, this is the discount. Don't just give them a discounted rate without them knowing what the full rate is. And
absolutely, yes, because when you go back and charge them the second time, a year, 2 years later, all of a sudden they'll go, and I've done this where I used to charge $50 for a virus removal. Don't do it. That's stupid. And when, sorry if I've offended anybody, but I've done that. And then I went back 8 months later and I finally had this thing. I said, wait a minute, I'm spending more time on virus removals, not physical time, but more time to get the turnaround. And then, if you come up with a problem, then you got to do something. And I could do other things a lot quicker. Like, I don't know, a screen replacement takes me about 20 minutes from beginning to end, from ordering a part, waiting for it to come in, or if I have them on hand or whatever, throwing it in and boom. So now when I changed my price, and it only went to $89, but from 50 or 49 to 89, all of a sudden they were like, they looked at the invoice, and the second time they came back and they're like, you only charged me 49 last time. Yeah, things have gone up.
It was last time.
My expertise, me getting it done, having it the way that it should be done, it costs money to do that.
I
One
agree.
of the biggest things we see in the UK is a lot of people seem to underprice doing this sort of thing. What sort of price would you charge over in the States for going out to a residential customer for an hour just to do a labour repair? Let's just say a service or a cleanup or whatever.
So my going rate right now is $80 per hour. Now,
okay,
the caveat to that is my rate starts when I turn the key in my car. It doesn't stop till I shut my key off in my driveway. So that's I don't charge it extra fees and all. it's $80 an hour. And now a lot of times if I, because I don't like to go on site, I'd rather people have drop stuff off so they're not looking over my shoulder. I can grab it, do what I need to do inside my office, get it done, get it back to them. They're happy. But if I go out there and it's something I can either get up and going quickly, like maybe they had something that was blocking the internet, and I'm able to get there, get that open, get my remote software on there, I might give them a choice at that point. If it's so messed up, I might say, you know what, I need to bring this back to my office, or it's gonna cost you like $600 for a computer repair.
And then
a virus removal.
Would you credit them? Like, would you charge them twice? Would you charge them your in-office rate and the time you spent to go there?
No, I make an adjustment on that. So you're going to get a correlation depending on if I'm like if I was to pick it up and I was to go back and drop it off, there's going to be a fee for that time, and then whatever my flat rate would be for the virus removal. And again, there's no hard. I mean, I try to have I have a list of prices that I charge. They're not, and I think I sent the list to you, Ann.
You did.
But there's not a hard, fast rule on that. You've got to be able to make an adjustment to where you need to charge something, and you need to make it worth your time. If you're basically, and here's what a lot of people don't understand: number one, if you charge a really cheap price, you will not be in business a year and a half from now, guaranteed. I've seen it happen thousands of times.
We see a lot of people over here, and it's about £20 an hour, which is what, $22, $23 or whatever it is, which is absolutely stupid. By the time you get your tax in there, your fuel costs, everything else in there, they're probably making less than what's classed as the minimum wage over here, which is about £7.50 or whatever it is at the moment. Which and then they're not charging for actually getting there and back. So they're actually only working a few hours a day and getting very little out of it. And obviously the taxman, and I'm presuming is the same over there, wants a lot of money off you. And then the banks want a lot of money off you. Insurance companies want a lot of money off you. And how you can do it for so little. I run a group similar to what you guys have got, a Tech for Tech's group, and we do surveys in there, so we can actually see how much everyone charges, and then I write it up afterwards, and can see. And some are charging as low as £20, and some may go up to about £80, but that's generally the highest. The average, I think, worked out about 40, 45. Yeah. We're slightly higher. We're about 55 than the average, but some of them are even in big cities like Manchester, London, which are huge cities, equivalent to obviously like in New York, Atlanta, and stuff like that sort of sizes. And they're charging absolutely silly, stupid prices, to be honest with you. And one thing I found is if you charge really rubbish prices, to be honest, you tend to get customers again who, well, they want everything for nothing basically, and it's one of those things you can't give quality for nothing. And we've got one of these a big chain stores over here, PC World Currys it's called, and I would say to everyone, do you give a better service than they do? And they say, yeah. Well, why are you charging half the price they do?
Right.
If that's the basics to it, is if you think you're giving a better service than someone else, you should be charging more, not less. And then they'll always say, oh, yeah, but we're really busy. And it's, yeah, you're busy because you're working for nothing. I'd rather charge twice as much and do half the work.
Right.
And more than likely, if you charge twice as much, you're only going to lose a few customers. You're not going to lose half of them.
No. Yeah.
You're actually making a hell of a lot more than you think.
Exactly. And I've said that time and time again. It's true. A lot of people will go, well, I want to charge more so I can have less customers and make the same money. And I've told people it doesn't work that way. You're gonna charge more. You're gonna have less customers, and you're actually gonna make more money.
Yeah,
that's how that works. Now, Keith Rosa in the chat room is saying, Jeff, considering travel time, billable time, what would you say is your average time you bill for a house call? When I do them on a rare occasion, you're probably looking at $1.25. Is probably my average. Again, I don't travel that far. So it's usually like a 5-minute to maybe a 10-minute drive. And, you get in, get out. Like I said, I've got to make that determination. If it's something, now there's time that I'll do, training, because it's easier actually to go to the customer's place and do some sort of training, and I'll block, an hour out. And now I might count my travel. I usually count my travel time in there, and maybe it's they've got 45 minutes left or whatever. And usually that takes care of whatever they need to learn, whether it's email, something on their phone, etc. I don't do that a whole lot, but for a few special customers, I do. So yeah, I would say it's probably about $1.25. And everything changes once you get into hardware stuff, and you talk about doing a Windows reinstall. You're talking about a lot more money. I'm talking if I don't have to take anything apart, I can go in there and work my magic fingers with my magic, USB key. It's a beautiful thing. And a lot of times too, if I can get them set up on a remote service, I can go back to my office and get online and boom, and finish everything up and then go eat dinner and do all the things I need to do. So
Now, how do you have people drop off at your house? Do they make an appointment? Do you have to meet them? I ask because I have a box in front of my house on my porch, and it's like some heavy duty Home Depot kind of job box thing. And people will leave their computers in there, which I love because they can just let me know, give me a heads up. Hey, I dropped it off and I can take care of it. Do you do that, or do you have appointments for everyone?
Well, no, I meet them at the door. So I will set up an appointment. They'll say, want to come drop it off. I'll say, okay, let's do it at whatever, Saturday at 1:00 or something like that. And that's one of the reasons that I have a Ring doorbell is that so it's on my secondary screen, and I can see when somebody comes up.
Yeah.
And even if I'm blowing up zombies or whatever at the time, got my headphones on, I can't hear anything. I can see that somebody walked up, and I can go deal with that, because that's the thing that used to irritate me. Is when I didn't have time to shoot zombies and other things that I love to do, I would sit there and somebody say they show up at 1:00, and it's like they didn't show up at 1:00. It was like 2 or 1:30 or whatever.
Looking out the door.
I'm waiting, like a little kid at a candy store, and I'm like, this is such a waste of my time. I could be doing other things. So but the other thing too is, here's what I believe, and Phil, you'll probably agree with this too, is that I kind of like that relationship. So when somebody brings me a computer, I want to sit down. I have them physically fill out a piece of paper and a pen. Yes, paper made from trees with a pen with ink in it. Yes, because I like that initial. I want to have a signature on file, at least for my first initial customer. So after that, when I put things like that in a repair shopper, then I can pull their information up, and I can either print another sheet that they can just quickly sign. I can send it through email, and they can digitally sign it or whatever they want to do. Doesn't really matter at that point, but I want that first ink copy. And then I want a chance to have that communication. I want the customer to like me, and I want to like the customer, because if neither one of those things work, to me, there's no point in doing business that way, other than if you just want to be frustrated or, like Phil said earlier, have cheap customers, etc.
Yeah. It's always best to get people to sign stuff if they're dropping it off in your hands, or as you said, you've got a box out there. Well, what happens if someone goes in the box and is able to pick up the other person's computer or whatever?
It's like saying, what if somebody breaks into your house? Like the odds, it's always possible, but just where I am, it's very unlikely. It's totally possible, but very unlikely. And if they always let me know when they do it, so I get out there relatively quickly and get it. But yeah. I'm the last house on a dead end in a safe town, and it could happen to any of us. Anybody could have their door broken down, and somebody could steal your customers' computers right out of your house. So
now, do you live in a rural area?
It's more suburban.
Okay.
It's all relative in New Jersey, but suburban.
Gotcha.
It's suburban rural.
Gotcha. Okay, suburban rural. Yeah, I got that. I got a forest out back. And, I live in a little, little.
Yeah, we have people who have horses, and yeah.
Okay.
Another thing we found about signing stuff as well is, obviously you got over here, we're probably a bit worse over in Europe with the new data protection rules and stuff, is obviously you have to guard their data and information and so forth. So you need to get them to sign stuff over here, because even if they drop something off with you and you say, oh yeah, we'll look at it, if you do get broken into, you've got nothing to say that, yeah, they've signed it in, that you'll look after it and what's going to happen, what your terms and conditions are and stuff like that. So it's always best to have that safety buffer to say that, yeah, you need to make sure you back your stuff up. If you don't collect your item, we'll charge you so much after so many days. If you don't want it repairing, we'll charge you a diagnostics fee and so forth, rather than the repair cost and stuff like that. If you got it all signed out on a piece of paper and they agree to it, especially in the store. We've got cameras pointed at them from about 5 different angles, just in case they say they never signed it. You need, well, or at least over here, you need to make sure you get that signed, because a lot of times, well, a lot of our local customers can try and pull the wool over your eyes a few times. So don't get me wrong, you've probably got a little better clientele than we have. But some of the customers we've got will try and get everything for nothing.
And the couple, the people, when I've had people drop off that I don't know, I have had them sign it. I've sent them a PDF and they've signed it and either dropped it off with the machine or emailed it back to me. So I do have that ahead of time.
Okay.
Because it's definitely, it's a very good point.
And obviously you just don't know. Sorry.
And that's fine, I think. As far as as long as you get something, we're saying they basically, for my MSP, gosh, I just said it. For my managed service clients, I basically sent I have a sheet that can be filled out on my website. Nobody can see it. It's not front facing. I send them a link. They go to the link. They fill it out. And what it does is it sends me an email with the information that they populated into those boxes. And that's my copy of saying, yes, they agreed to this by sending me this email back, whether it's inked or not. And again, everything is up to interpretation as far as the law is concerned for a lot of that stuff. So you try to do the best you can with what you have and hope for the best. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. My old Army training. Anyway, so I think with a lot of, with people starting out and trying to get those residential customers, I think there's a lot of things that we can do. There's simple things we can do. One, I think, is you can have business cards on you and just pass them out. Just have them available. The other thing, and I don't know if you've ever done this, but you could go to Vistaprint or go to a reputable company and get magnets. And slap them on the side of your car. I did that for a few years. I don't do it anymore because I don't like that stuff on the side of my car. I did have some things made for my windows, stick-ons that you could see through that had all my information and stuff on there. You could do those types of things to advertise, and people do that all the time. You could, if you wanted to be really inexpensive, you could go and get the lettering, the sticker-on lettering, and just, get you a couple pieces of, masking tape and line it up on your back window or whatever. So when you put it together, not everything's not crooked, and just, put a message on there with your phone number. Again,
the problem is the way I drive.
Yeah. See, if you're flipping people the bird and, yelling out the window, and I can imagine
they'll be calling me.
Now, I had somebody call me one time. We were going down the expressway. It's 70 miles an hour. Person called me. Hey, do you do websites? I'm like, right behind you.
I do, but not now.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't talk right now. No, that's so yeah, you definitely, that's the other thing. I mean, I drive, my kids say I drive like a grandpa.
Yeah, not me.
The reality is I don't like tickets. I don't like spending money on something that I shouldn't have to. And that's one of the things that I stopped doing that 20 plus years ago. I'm just done. I'm not paying those tickets anymore. So I just drive the speed limit, or sometimes a tad bit slower. Take my time. That's why I don't drive that far. When I get on the expressway, I put the cruise control on and just kind of meander wherever I go, but I'll usually stay in the right lane or sometimes the center lane. And
that's the key. If you're in the right lane, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. I'm not in the far left lane, which nobody's supposed to drive in anyways, but
it's a passing lane.
Exactly.
Not a travel lane.
And I think Florida's actually they're actually pushing that now. So, anyway, Phil, what are some of the other things that, and obviously you've got a retail shop, and your lifeblood of your business is the residential customers. Is there anything else that you did as far as trying to pull those customers in?
One of the things we did, especially when we first opened the retail store, but you don't have to do this when you've got a retail store, you could do it if you're just doing your call-outs or whatever, was contact your local paper. Yeah, I know some people still use real paper, like newspapers. I'm presuming you have a lot of newspapers over there as well. But you usually have a local newspaper. You can contact them, ask them if you can write a column for them. A lot of the times they're wanting information. They're running out of information to put in there. We used to do a column every week. Sometimes, unfortunately, they published it in areas which were a bit outside of our area. I'm talking like 100 miles out of our area, unfortunately, because the company what owned it sort of owned lots of different places. But they also publish it on the website. And the advantage of them putting it on the website is the backlinking, because it's a high traveled actual website and it's linking back to yours. It boosts your website on the listings as well. And again, you can do the same sort of thing, but for local radio stations. So if you've got a local radio station, again, they usually want content. And I say Anne seems pretty confident speaking on camera and so on a mic on a radio. You shouldn't be too bad. So you can always try something along that lines. You might dread it or whatever. It's something I've not done myself because the local place wasn't really interested here. But I do know people who have done it, and it's quite successful, because not only do you have it on the radio station, they usually have a website as well. And again, that backlinks into your website if they link you in. And again, that'll boost your search engine results and stuff like that.
That's a great one. There's a radio station that's 5 miles away from me, and it just serves the local community. So that's an awesome one.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thank you, Phil.
Now, I'm going to go on a little side tangent, and I'm going to tell a story about you.
Go ahead.
And so, Anne, I don't know, I think it was last week, she's like, I'm really nervous about coming on this podcast. I don't really want to do it. She didn't say it like this, but this is the way I took it. Is there any way I could get out of it? And I'm like going, no. I said, you know what? I said, here's what I know. You'll be good at it. And you can come on there, and you are an expert at things that you do in life, as we all are in certain areas. And you're going to know what you're talking about. And here you come on here and you're like a natural. And I want to tell people that anybody can do this. Me getting behind the mic. Yeah, it was nerve-wracking the first time I did it, first 100, 150 times. But the reality is, even when I was just a guest on the show back in the day, my heart was beating like it was crazy. And you are nervous for a little bit, but then that goes away. And hey, you're chatting amongst friends, sharing information that other people are interested in. Hey, how's she doing that? Because I want to know how to do that. And we'll have an email that kind of pushes this point of why I think it's important for people it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, people of every level need to come on the show and just share the things that they're either struggling with, the things that they're working on, things that have worked, the things that haven't worked. That's where everybody learns. And that's why we do it. Because if you just, quite honestly, you guys really would get tired of me just talking about myself all the time. I love it because I love talking about myself, but you guys would. you want to hear from other people that are actually struggling. Me, I just tell my cousin, I don't care. Whatever. Here's my price. You don't like it, go stuff it. It doesn't matter to me.
See, but for me, that's what works about this show. Is the first time I listened, it was Eric Metzner, and he did residential, and it was so refreshing just to hear you guys saying, yeah, this can work for you, because I had been on other forums and stuff where they're like, what are you, an idiot? You have a full-time job. You can't do this part-time. Nobody's going to want to hire you after hours. And I was like, okay, never mind. But then I came here and I'm like, wow, there's all these supportive people. And, we're all on different areas of the spectrum of our business. But honestly, when I listen to some people that are way more experienced than me, it's nerve-wracking, to think that I'm going to come on here. I'm like, what's anybody going to get from me? I don't have expertise in networking or, any of this other stuff. But yeah, I guess if I help somebody else out who's also starting out, then great.
There you go. And don't give me, hey, listen, none of us have expert, other than Marvin. None of us are experts in networking. We just make this stuff up as we go. We go, hey, I think that pulling that cord, yeah, that fixed it. That's good. Yeah, turned it off and turned it on again. We're solid now. It's always a learning experience. And if we could get to the point where we knew everything and we could just walk into a situation and by osmosis, we would know what the problem was, we can make a whole lot more money than most of us are making now. It doesn't work that way. So anyways, all right. So Phil, again, just talking about, is there other things that you've done? Because I'd like the local paper aspect of it. I like the writing an article. Again, if you're going to provide content to get your name out there, that's worthwhile. And guess what? Everybody in some form is looking for content for their thing, especially these local papers and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't pay a lot. And if you offer to do a free article for content for them, that's free advertising for you. It's a win-win situation. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, we used to do it a lot. Not so much at the moment, because we're concentrating on our other side of the business as well, where we review products and stuff like that. So, but we did find when we did do it that we got actually a lot of trade for it. We did it for about over 2.5 year period, and it was absolutely brilliant for us. It got the name out there without having to spend any money. Basically, the only thing you had to do, and most of the time it was actually the missus who wrote the articles. She works with me in the shop as well, so she's co-owner. She's actually American, so we have a few jobs going back and forth about language differences. But yeah, so stuff like that can help. But one of the good things to do is, obviously, people are going to be clicking back to your website. And another tip, what we find works well with that, is on your website, have a picture of yourself on there, because people can see who you are, and then you're not some robot, or well, hopefully you don't look strange or like typical geek or whatever. But we've got a picture of me and the missus on there. Okay, it's not right at the top, it's not near the bottom, but the amount of people who get coming in saying, oh, we came into you because there's a picture of you on there, we could see who you are, and they sort of know you before you actually meet them. So when they come in, they go, oh yeah, you're the one on the website. You're not some random person. Because a lot of websites do have people on their website, and it's usually someone who's I don't know, walked off of the catwalk and they're sitting in a chair smiling or whatever, which looks like they've never worked in IT in the day of their life. So a good thing about whatever you do is, obviously, most of these people are going to be going to your website. It needs to look good. Obviously, if you're using Matthew Ridella's website builder, or tech site builder, or whatever it's called, I've seen that looks pretty good. I don't use it myself, but I do recommend it to a lot of people, because it is a good form, and I would recommend anyone who hasn't got a website, or they're not got time to spend on the website, or if it is rubbish, or I'm going to say, seen some websites and they look like they're dated from about 1995. So it's not that expensive. A lot of people go, oh, it's going to cost, I can't remember how much he charges, but it's going to cost £10 a month or whatever it is. But think how many customers you're losing when they go and look at your absolute appalling website. You only need one customer a month, and well, that'll probably pay for it for 6 months, to be honest with you. So it's well worth it. So make sure things look nice.
Yes, and I'm with you, Phil, because I've said that for years. I've told people, and they're like, "Oh no, I don't want to put my photo on there." And I'm like, "Listen, people, stop putting the pretty people on your website. Nobody cares. They want to know that you are like a real person that can come and help them. They don't want to see some model that's sitting there and going, "We're going to help you." It's like, come on. And to me, that is in today's day and age, see, a lot of people don't remember this, and I don't remember it, even at my age, I don't remember it as much. But you got to remember, going back to my grandparents' era, you would have the conversation would happen over a fence in the neighborhoods. People were just hanging out and just talking, and it was everything. You would go to the local market, everything was localized. Everybody just kind of they did things together. Well, it's the same thing nowadays. You A lot of people have gone back to that, where they're going to support somebody local. I've been told that many times. Or they're going to support somebody that looks, real. They're going to support a real person, not just some website of, they don't have no idea who they're going to get. Now, in my opinion, a lot of people that get IT work done from unknowns, they probably do that because they don't know where else to turn. But I strongly believe that if you have a picture of yourself, a real picture of yourself, and it's not that it's easy to do, you can go to some of these conventions and get a free headshot, but even if you could have your wife take the picture or go to a photo studio and spend a little bit of money or, go in one of those photo booths or whatever. Do it at a wedding. There you go.
Yeah.
Free photo booth. Go in there. They're going to give you a whole bunch of different pictures. You can, take 4 or 5 poses and have that and just, use that.
Same on your Facebook page and stuff like that, or if you do videos, is get pictures yourself. Give you a rough idea. We started doing reviews of products in January for Techs, and I started off. I was scared to put myself on the video or whatever, so we just point it at the product, unbox it, show a few pictures, how it works, and blah blah blah. We got a few hundred people look at them on YouTube, so 200 views or whatever. We sort of changed that after about 3-4 months. So reluctantly, I put myself on there and introducing the product and this, that, and the other. So for at least 20-30 seconds, you can actually see me on the screen. Videos are now reaching 5,000 to 10,000 views.
Oh.
Just because of that, and you can actually look at the statistics on there, and you go on there and you can see how actually people look at the video and when they actually sign off. And most people sign off is when your face disappears.
Nice.
So I can see when my face disappears is basically they disappear, they run off. So somehow some people like the way I look, or I don't know if it's like a freak show sort of thing where they can't turn it off, but they keep on watching while you're there. The catch is we don't have enough room in our sort of office where we do the reviews to have us on the screen at the same time or a desk while we're opening the package up. Something we need to look at. We are looking for a bigger store so we can do the reviews and obviously have the store in one place, but trying to find everything what we need in one place is proving a bit difficult at the moment. But having your picture on there, or having your face on the actual product, or even if you put a video or picture on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, as soon as your picture goes on, the amount of views you get generally goes sky high in comparison.
Nice.
Good to know.
And see, providing that good content is going to draw people to you and get your brand out there where people know, like, and trust you. And then when you have a service that they need, they're going to come to you for that service. It's again, it's a win-win. And how much time or how much cost can it go into, making these videos? You can do it as easy as possible. You can pull out your iPhone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really, you could break it down, make it really, really simple. And again, people are going to look at that stuff and like it because you're sharing something that they wanted to know about, and it's helping them in their business or helping them in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Ann, I want to ask you, so we're getting towards the end here. We've got a couple of emails I want to get to, but what type of action steps are you going to take from the information that you've gotten today?
Oh, gee. Definitely going to contact the local radio station. Going to do my Bing business page. Maybe try delving into Google AdWords again. A couple other things. I want to go over them. I'm going to order stickers. I talked about that with Jason too. Stickers are a definite go. Doing the form on my page, I like that idea. Just that it's there. It's just, just give them the link and they can fill out the form on the page. But a lot of stuff. And yeah.
And you know what the nice thing is? It's never ending. And I say nice because
awesome.
there's always something new that you can tweak or change. And the nice thing is when you try something and it doesn't work, you just go, hey, that didn't work, or that didn't even work for me. And just because it worked for somebody else doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It's just not working for you, your area, whatever, your customer base. Everything's going to be a little bit different. So you try something else. When you go to the grocery store, you don't grab everything, even though you could afford anything on the shelves in there. You don't go in and grab every last thing off the shelf. I want one of this, one of this, one of this. No, you grab what you need that week, and then that's what you use.
Yep.
And so that's what I look at. This business is there's always something you could tweak, make better. There's going to be new people that come in all the time that find a way to do it better than maybe even some of the old timers found a long time ago. And I like those fresh ideas out there.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and let's wrap this session up. Phil, any last words on, getting residential customers or any lasting thoughts?
more lasting thoughts would be to take advantage of stuff like Facebook groups, like your own group. I've got my own group as well. I'm guessing you'll add that into the notes and stuff. But these groups can help you in many ways, from getting residential customers, business customers even, and even things from saving money, like where to get business insurance from and stuff like that, and even tell you if you're charging too little or too much. One thing I would recommend is, if I don't know if you get any local awards or anything like that, but most towns have some sort of local award thing. Stick your name down. You never know what you'll get. We started off when we started the store. We didn't have any awards or anything like that. Put our names down for the local awards. We won it like 2 years in a row. We've actually won 2 national awards as well for Best Independent Store in the UK twice now. And I'll be sticking our name down again for next year, all being well. And stuff like that. And because we've been managed to get these awards, is people, as in vendors or manufacturers, they start to come to you and ask you, what can we do for you? They'll give you point sales materials if you've got a store, so you can have nice posters. And they seem to give you a lot of pens and cups. I'm not sure how that gets you new customers in the store, but you get lots of pens. I suppose you could always give a little pen away with every service you do, but I don't think that'll get you any new customers. But that's allowed us to go on to do stuff like the reviews and stuff, because obviously we've got a name out there. I've gone to them saying, hey, can we review some of your stuff? We're doing a new project, blah, 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 and bang, away you go. And they're like, yeah, why not? And it's gone from there, basically. So the basics is get yourself out there, try these Facebook groups, as I said, because you can get lots of knowledge. And, well, when you've got 100, 500, 1,000 people there, it's like you're in a big team or a group rather than sitting on your own. And don't be scared to ask questions sometimes. I know in some groups they can be a little, without swearing, what's the best way to say this? A little touchy. Yeah, that's it.
Not nice.
Yeah, not nice, abusive. Yeah. They can be sometimes a bit abusive, or they can say things like, oh, you should know that, or whatever. They tend to forget everyone started somewhere. I started in my bedroom. I'm what the class call over here is a bedroom trader originally. I started off in a bedroom and then went from there. So, but basically, 13 years later, got a successful shop, do the review site and so forth. But one of the biggest things I always say to everyone is be consistent. Consistently do the same thing. So if you have a check-in form, consistently do it every single way. If you have a certain procedure you do it the same way, and so forth. Always be consistent in what you do, and don't take any shortcuts, even if the customer is rushing you.
Awesome. Yes, I agree 100%. Thank you. And Ann, any final thoughts from you?
I guess just look for people who are supportive, and never stop learning. And like Phil said, don't be afraid to ask questions, because I have stuff to offer, but there's also a lot that I need to know, and one day I'll be the one answering the questions. So
exactly. Very good, and I agree with that also. So let's take a quick second before we go into a couple emails that we have. If you'd like to support this show, go to patreon.com/computer repair podcast. And that will get you into the secret Facebook group, or again, kind of like Phil's group. We have this group for the podcast and asking questions in the tech field and whatnot, where people are nice and they actually ask questions and they answer them nicely, and people are just nice. Which I'm also in the Tech for Techs group that Phil runs, and it seems like everybody's nice in there too. So definitely got that there. I want to thank our newest Patreon supporter, Eric Exton. Hopefully I said your name right. And I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters for your continued support. You help make this possible, and we appreciate it. All right, let's answer a couple of emails. All right, here's a good one. Okay, any chance on suggestions for a Win 10 app, crapware installed by default, removers? Oh, for the remover programs or scripts. I think you guys talked about it, but I lost my notes. Keep up the good work. Pete K. Thank you for that, Pete. Is there anything that anybody uses to remove the Windows 10 apps? I know I've done them individually. I don't think I've used a script or anything in the past to get rid of those.
No, not individually. Well, I mean, individually, yeah, I do. On a lot of new laptops and stuff, I usually use the Malware Bytes tool set or Tech Suite or what? Not Tech Suite, sorry, tool set. I forget the other name of it. Tech Bench. That's the one.
Tech
Bench. There you go.
That's it. The Malware Bytes one that gets rid of a lot of the bloatware or rubbish programs, but unfortunately, it doesn't get rid of any of the apps. But I don't know of any scripts off the top of my head. If anyone does, I'd like to know that, because some of these free games that stick on a fresh install of Windows or whatever are a pain in the backside. Not everyone wants to play
Candy Crush, Soda
that's
Crush,
it, Candy Crush and all those bits.
Find a needle in a haystack. I don't know.
The days have gone of just Solitaire and Minesweeper.
It's funny because I just removed a bunch of those programs yesterday. There's really not that many. There was probably maybe 5. I get rid of the news app. I get rid of. Yeah, there's really only 5 that I would go, yeah, these just don't need to be on here. I don't, to be honest with you, if you get rid of the shortcuts, I don't really think they cause that much harm anyways. I don't think. But then again, it'd probably be nice to have something. So if anybody out there knows of a program or a script that somebody could run to basically get rid of these apps without having to manually uninstall them. And it's you right click on it, hit uninstall, and it's on the apps. It's actually nicer than the Win32 apps on the actual PC itself. Those you got to go into the uninstall programs, et cetera, et cetera.
I think there are a couple though that you can't uninstall, and there's every time if I want to uninstall it, I just Google it, and there's plenty of people out there that have the technique.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So yeah, if there's anybody that can do it in mass, let us know. We'd like to know. All right. So let's see. Now here's the podcast. So here's what I wanted to get to. And it's, again, these give me a big smile inside when people say this. And I know there's many, many people that tell me all the time they're very appreciative of what we do here. This says, "Hi, Jeff. Love your show." Love in a capitals. So I am the same age as you and have been doing IT for over a quarter of a century. That's a long time. I am definitely a jack of all trades, master of none. After 24 years of doing IT for a small environmental consulting company and being promoted from computer tech all the way to VP, I couldn't deal with the non-IT portions of the job. I woke up every day dreading going to work, so I left. Good on you. Your podcast has encouraged me to start an IT company. Thank you very much for all the work you put into it. Eric Exton, actually, our new Patreon supporter. So I appreciate that he sent this email and, also became a patron supporter of the show. These are the things that I like to read, because it's somebody, if we're helping somebody in a positive way, that's, even with all the jokes, that's what I really like to do. I'm not just a wise guy, people. I actually do care. My wife says I'm a big teddy bear in disguise. So I'm a little harder on the outside than I probably should be, but that's just my personality. So anyways, I definitely appreciate that, Eric. And hopefully there's many, hopefully we'll get some questions and stuff inside the secret Facebook group, and you guys will get in on the information that goes on in there that not everybody else gets. But yeah, like my computer bill. Not that anybody cares, other than, why do we put a power supply on the bottom or the top? That was an interesting conversation. So I to be honest with you, if I could do anything as far as an IT, I would do what our friend Anthony Remus does, and I would build computers. Because doing my own personal computer sucks, because I had to pull my actual computer offline, which I don't like doing. So I would rather have, but again, I had some parts in there that I was not going to replace because they were like brand new. So I had to pull some of the parts off of that and put it into my new machine. But if I could build machines and do some of the work that, the custom builds that Anthony does, I think that'd be great. But again, it's like anything else. You get tired of doing something over and over again when you used to do it for the fun of it, and then it becomes a job. But I do enjoy building computers and doing the wiring and everything. And for those that have seen my case and everything, the computer is like dead super quiet, and there's hardly anything in there, which I think is awesome. It's like all you see is a video card. That's it. And the motherboard. That's it. Everything else is gone. Everything else is hidden, actually. But anyways. All right. So I think that was the last email for the show. So let's go ahead and real quick. Phil, if you want to let people know where they can find out more about you, what you're up to, and yes, any of the links you want to share that to throw in the show notes, just zip them off to me and we will definitely dump those in there so people can get to wherever. But where can people find you at?
Best way of finding me will be on the Tech for Tech's website. That's techfortechs.co.uk, not com. Website. You've got a contact on there. You've got a link to our Facebook group where you can get hold of us as well. On Facebook, and Phil Griffiths. There's also on Twitter, LinkedIn, and stuff like that. But in basics, I don't mind anyone asking questions. Same in the group. They'll message me. We've got about 600 members. But generally, it's one of those places, again, groups, same as your group, it's ideally to be part of a sort of a community, and you can get that advice and help. And different groups do different things. There's obviously Matthew Rodell has got business advice. He gets some more techs. Ours is more of an all-rounder group where we do awards for the members and different things. We're actually even doing trophies and stuff like that. But again, you can get me, as I said, on the Tech for Tech's website or directly on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming out and sharing with us today. It's been a blast. All right, and Ann, where can people find you at and ask you all those kind of questions and what you're up to?
The secret Facebook group for that's complete. My email is ann@techrx.tech, at malwarebytes for blocking.tech domains. And yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, the usual.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming out and brave. Now, okay, I have to ask you the question. Was it hard?
No, I didn't feel like too much of an idiot. So that's all I was asking.
Did I make it easy?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's what we do here, folks. Like I said, I might be a little bit rough around the edges sometimes, but no, really, I'm really nice to my guests because they are the lifeblood of what we do. And I want to know just as much from them as they're getting from, myself and others. So I appreciate it.
Nope, it was great. Thank you.
Right. No problem. Come join us live for the Computer Repair Podcast every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern over at podnutz.com/CRP Live. Join in on the conversation by hanging out in the chat room where we have some side conversation going right now, which is pretty funny. By the way, John Reed, I did read that that message earlier, and he said, good job, Ann, for coming out. He goes, I haven't even come on the show yet. Yes, John, I am calling you out. So you can also send an email to podnutz@podnutz.com or leave a voicemail at 734-335-1000. Simple number. Just give a call. If you don't want to come on the show, leave a message and we'll play it right next to ours. All right. I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on the Computer Repair Podcast.